The legendary Power Ranger Tommy Oliver is the most outstanding Ranger of all time who has participated for more years as a Ranger than anyone else. If we talk about legends of superheroes in any franchise, Tommy is one of the first in that list, and today I'm going to give you a review of his entire history. Let's start with what many already know, and that is the beginning of the Green Ranger. Rita Repulsa, in the middle of the war with the Power Rangers, decides to use her power coin that she had obtained at the same time that Zordon obtained the other 5 power coins that make up the Power Rangers. With this 6th coin, Rita creates the Green Power Ranger, and without realizing it, she created the legendary Ranger. The one that was going to defeat evil for many years, and the one that in a parallel universe was going to eliminate her and dominate the world. Tommy Oliver starts out as the Green Ranger, who at first was the enemy of the Power Rangers thanks to Rita's spell, until Jason the Red Ranger defeats him and destroys the spell. In this universe, Tommy decides to join the Power Rangers to fight against Rita, but in a parallel universe Tommy decides to remain attached to Rita despite no longer being under her spell. You can find this story on the channel so you can meet this other Tommy Oliver. In the universe we know Tommy Oliver continued to be the Green Ranger by controlling the Dragon Zord with the Dragon Dagger and defeating Rita in every encounter until his power faded. Then the Power Rangers give him their power so he can go back to being the Green Ranger, and this worked for a while, but this power wouldn't last too long either. Because of this, Tommy was away for a long time until one day Zordon called the Rangers to the command center and introduced them to the new White Ranger, who he named as the new leader of the Power Rangers. This Ranger comes from the white light of good, and therefore darkness and evil cannot corrupt him. This new Ranger has been given the most powerful weapon of all time, a sword called Saban, which had a life of its own, and you can see its history in our channel. Besides that, the White Ranger together with Saban controls the White Tiger Zord, which can transform into warrior mode. This White Ranger also appeared in the first Power Rangers movie in 1995, being the leader of the group and leading them to defeat Ivan Ooze to save the world. Later, with the destruction of the Thunderzords, the Rangers set out on a journey through the Desert of Despair in search of the creator of the power coins, Ninja. With his help, they managed to transform themselves into the Ninja Power Rangers, who get their power from their life force and not from an external source. From this moment on, Tommy becomes the White Ninja Ranger controlling the White Falcon. After Lord Zed turned the Rangers into children, Tommy as a child managed to get the Zeo crystals to become an adult again. Then Golder and Rito Revolto exploited the Zordon Command Center to steal the Zeo crystal, but they didn't succeed. This powerful crystal comes from a planet that is in the void because the Morphin Masters destined that universe to perdition because an enemy of theirs used that same crystal, and due to the power it had, the Morphin Masters decided that it was very dangerous. With these crystals, Tommy and the other Rangers became the Zeo Rangers, being Tommy the Red Ranger controlling the Zeo Zord 5 and having a special Zord called the Red Battle Zord. After many battles, the Rangers managed to defeat the Machine Empire, but then came an evil pirate who came with the same plans to destroy the Power Rangers called Divatox. With the arrival of this villain, they had to look for a new power. That is when the Turbo Power Rangers emerged and Tommy started to be the Red Ranger leading the team again. Divatox tried everything to destroy the Rangers and destroy Tommy, but the Rangers always achieved victory. After many years as a Ranger and a great leader, Tommy had to give up his powers as Turbo Ranger, and he ended up choosing TJ, who would become the new Red Ranger. After giving up his power, Tommy went to college to study paleontology, which is the natural science that studies and interprets the past of life on Earth through fossils. Tommy had this fascination with studying fossils and dinosaurs because of his time on the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, which controlled Zords from the prehistoric era. While researching fossils, Tommy found the red, blue and yellow dino gems, which were remnants of the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs 65 million years ago. After learning of the power the gems contained, Tommy knew they would be misused if they fell into the wrong hands, so he hid them. While in college he met Haley, who helped him create the Dino Morphers to create the Dino Thunder Power Rangers. 3 young men found these morphers and became the new Rangers, and later discovered Tommy's past as a Ranger who recruited them to become the Dino Thunder Power Rangers. Tommy obtained another Dino Gem and became the Black Ranger with the power of invisibility. Due to various situations, Tommy remained with the transformation for a while until an experiment returned Tommy to his natural state, but breaks his Dino Gem in the process. Due to this experiment, Tommy falls into a coma, and in his state, he begins to dream that he has a battle with his 3 former transformations. When he woke up from the coma, his Dino Gem was repaired and now he would have Super Dino mode. In the end, Tommy and the other Rangers had to destroy the Zords and the Dino Gems to be able to finish with the villain, and Tommy continued his life as a professor at the university. After many years, the events of the special 30th anniversary episode happened, in which Rita returns and uses Alpha's body as her new robotic body. When this happens, Billy had to confront Rita and was almost defeated, but the rest of the Mighty Morphin team arrived to save him. Later, Rita had built a machine to transform the Rangers into little dolls and extract all their energy. Unfortunately, Rita managed to trap Tommy, but after the Rangers destroyed this villain, Tommy was able to return to his family. Although we didn't get to see the actor in this episode, the character actually did appear. Jason David Frank decided not to appear in this special episode as he was still alive at the time, but sadly in November 2022 he passed away at the age of 49. Although this is the basic story of Tommy, this legendary Ranger has been mentioned a number of times throughout the story, as well as returning to help in big battles such as the Battle of all the Red Rangers and also in the legendary battle. In addition to this, outside of the franchise, Tommy has also participated in small fan-made battles. In the video games, Tommy has always been one of the main characters, and in the comics, we have seen his alternate history as we mentioned at the beginning of this video. For this and much more, Tommy will always be the greatest Ranger that has ever existed in the history of this universe and any parallel universe. Most kids, even adults, almost always, their favorite Ranger is the Red Ranger. Not just any Red Ranger, but Jason, the Red Ranger from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. In several rides, this Ranger has always come out as the #1 in the entire history of the franchise, although we must say that Tommy can also win these polls. Jason is the leader of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and is the Ranger who has defeated the most villains by himself. He is also the only one who defeated Tommy Oliver in a fight. Before becoming a Ranger, he was dedicated to martial arts in Angel Grove until Zordon selected him along with his 4 closest friends to be a Power Ranger, but not just any Ranger, the leader of the group and the most powerful. Why did Zordon choose him as the leader? When Zordon and Alpha 5 make the call to the 5 teenagers and tell them about the power, Jason is the only one who initially believes it, and that is why Zordon gives him the power coin of the Tyrannosaurus Rex and the dinosaur. After obtaining this power, they begin their battles with Rita, who had sent Golder to destroy the Earth until the Power Rangers, led by Jason, defeated the monster. Although, at first glance, Jason seems like a typical athlete who is only interested in sports, inside, He is a kind person who likes to help others, and that is why he protects Billy and also teaches him martial arts so he can defend himself and builds his confidence. In addition to his martial arts skills, Jason does weightlifting and is certified as a scuba diving instructor. After many battles against Rita, one day a new student arrives to the school, Tommy Oliver, who began to be the only one who could be a competition for Jason in martial arts. This is why Rita bewitches him and turns him into the Green Ranger to defeat the Power Rangers. Rita captures Jason and locks him in the Dark Dimension after stealing his morpher, plus he had to fight Golder to get it back. Rita then sends the Green Ranger to destroy Jason, but Alpha 5, Trini and Billy manage to get Jason back before Tommy could harm him. Later, Jason confronts Tommy on Earth and finally defeats him in combat when he throws his energized power sword at the Green Ranger, disarms him, and then uses his blaster to destroy the Sword of Darkness that Rita had given Tommy. That was the sword that kept Rita's spell on Tommy. Now without the sword, Jason then invites Tommy to join the Power Rangers and use his powers against Rita. Later, Rita makes a green candle with special wax that had been enchanted with Tommy's touch when he was evil. Once lit, the candle continues to burn until it goes out, and when it goes out, so do Tommy's powers. When Tommy is near the candle, it accelerates the melting process. Golder captures Tommy and places him near it. However, he eventually escapes and Jason stays behind to retrieve the candle. Jason does well in his fight with Golder, but is called into battle with Rita's monster Cyclops to save Angel Grove. After the failed destruction of the green candle, Tommy entrusts Jason with his power coin to prevent it from falling back into Rita's hands, giving him access to the Green Ranger's powers. This includes the Dagon Shield and the Dagon Dagger, which also allows him to summon the Dagonzord to aid the Rangers, even while Jason controls the Megazord, making it twice as powerful. One day, Golder kidnaps all the parents of the students at Angel Grove School and tells Jason that if he wants to get the parents back, he must hand over all the power coins. So, Jason very cleverly delivers the 5 power coins, but he never gave him the Dragonzord coin. Thanks to this, Tommy recovers his power and then recovers the power coins of the other Rangers to also help the team to recover the parents of Angel Grove. This shows the great leadership that Jason has. When Lord Zed arrives to the moon and banishes Rita, as we talked about in the video of the whole history of Lord Zed, he creates some putties with his brand that are stronger and more powerful and sends them to the Earth to destroy the Rangers. In addition to this, Lord Zed destroys the Zords, including Jason's Dinozord. Even so, then new Zords called the Thunderzords appear, in which was Jason's new Zord, the Red Dragon Thunderzord, which transformed into a humanoid form and could fight any villain on its own separate from the fusion of the Megazord. Unfortunately, Tommy loses his Green Ranger powers again and Jason feels guilty about it. Lord Zed takes advantage of this and creates some candles for the other Rangers to also steal their power, but Jason with the help of Zordon manages to save his friends. After these events, Zordon gives Tommy the power of the White Ranger and names him the new leader of the group. Jason accepts this and becomes the second in command, but Tommy was very confident in Jason's experience as a leader and was always looking out for him. Some time later, Jason, Trini and Zack must go to a peace conference in another country, and because of this they had to leave the team. Because of this, Zordon chooses his successors, choosing Rocky as the new Red Ranger. It is believed that because Rocky had big shoes to fill as Jason was the favorite Ranger of all time, Rocky became the least liked Ranger of the entire saga, even after appearing in the Best Power Rangers movie in 1995. In Power Rangers Zeo, there is the Gold Ranger, which was represented by a being who was prince of the planet Trifonia called Trey. He had been injured and needed someone to replace him as the Gold Ranger. Then, this power was given to Jason, who returned to be the second in command of the team. On one occasion when Tommy was kidnapped, Jason had to be the leader. In addition to this, it is seen throughout the series that Tommy relied heavily on Jason's advice for leadership decisions. At the end of Zeo, Jason returns the Gold Ranger powers to Trey, their original bearer, due to the fact that the powers of this ranger were not meant for humans. Jason was already feeling the weight and weariness of these powers. Despite this, Jason suffered no injury and was able to transfer the powers safely and then went on his way. Jason also appeared in the Power Rangers Turbo movie alongside Kimberly, and they helped the Power Rangers fight against Divatox, the main villain of the Turbo Rangers. He also had another appearance in Power Rangers Wild Force when they made the special Forever Red, in which he appeared with his original Mighty Morphin power, along with other Red Rangers. In Power Rangers Super Megaforce, Jason appeared in the legendary battle, although he was always transformed since the actor could not be in that episode. In 2020, the actor who plays Jason made his final appearance, but this was not the character's last appearance. In Power Rangers Beast Morphers, Jason returns to fight against his old enemy Golder, who was now called Golder Maximus. Jason calls his old team to help him fight Golder, and all the Power Rangers unite to destroy him. The last appearance of the character was in the special episode celebrating the 30th anniversary of the franchise, and in this episode Jason appears for a very short time as he was quickly transformed into a doll to extract his energy. In the comics, Jason has been an important character since these stories are based on the story of the TV series and have created an alternate history. In Jason's case, after leaving the Mighty Morphin team to go to the Peace Conference, he was selected by the Blue Emissary to give him the power of the Red Omega Ranger. In a different dimension, Jason had been selected to be the White Ranger since Tommy had stayed with Rita as a villain. Tommy did not allow Jason to get the power of the White Ranger and took Jason's life so he could keep that power for himself. Zachary Taylor, or better known as Zack, is the first Black Ranger of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and we are not talking about the color of his skin, but the color of his costume. Personally, this is my favorite Ranger of all time, so for me it is an honor to introduce you to his story. Zack was the second in command in the Mighty Morphin after Jason the Red Ranger, all this, until Tommy Oliver arrived as the White Ranger, which Zordon put as leader, and Jason became the second in command. Zack's animal is the Mastodon, and his weapon is a very powerful axe that becomes a type of energy cannon, which is the beginning of the combination of all the Rangers' weapons to form the Power Blaster. In the comics, Zack has also been the Pink Ranger, the Green Ranger, and the Black Omega Ranger. Speaking of his personal life, Zack was a young man with some problems at home, but was still quiet and joking. Although he was very hesitant to have friends at first, he met Jason and the other Rangers at Angel Grove and gradually developed more. He is a young man who likes holidays like Halloween, although he is afraid of spiders and snakes. Zack likes to dance a lot, and what he did was to combine dancing with martial arts and invented a fighting style called hip-hop Kido, which he also teaches to others. He spends most of his time practicing martial arts with Jason and Tommy, as well as teaching dance to other students. When the war between Rita and Zordon started again after Rita escaped from her confinement, Zordon chose 5 young men to be the Power Rangers, and one of those was Zack, who at first was not sure if he could be a Ranger because he was an insecure young man at the beginning of his life due to the problems he had at home. Then he decided to commit to being a Ranger and accepted the mission to save the planet. With this he becomes the Black Ranger of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers with the Mastodon Power Coin, which controls the Mastodon Dinozord. In the comics, during a mission, Zack controls the Megazord and they defeat Rita's monster while Jason helps from the ground. At the end of the battle, everyone celebrates Jason's performance, but not Zack's, and therefore he feels a bit of jealousy within himself. Rita takes advantage of this jealousy and chooses him to be the first Green Ranger, since at this point Tommy had not yet appeared. When Rita makes the offer to Zack, he was tempted, but he rejected Rita and tried to steal the Green Ranger's power coin, but failed. Then Zack confessed everything to Zordon, and this story stayed between them and no other Ranger knew about it. Because of this whole event, when Tommy joined the team as the Green Ranger, Zack questioned Tommy's loyalty many times and if Rita could still control him. This is why, at first, they have several confrontations, but then they begin to trust each other little by little. Later, when Lord Zed arrives and destroys the Zords, Zordon gave the Rangers the new Thunderzords and Zack had control of the Lion Thunderzord. Zack's last mission with the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was to find the Light Sword, which is used to transfer powers from one Ranger to another when their powers come from one of the 5 power coins. The 6th coin has no connection to this sword. This mission was because Zack, Jason and Trini would travel to Switzerland and had to transfer their powers to other young people. Zack managed to transfer his powers to Adam, who would become the new Black Ranger and would be a very important and beloved character in the saga. Despite Zack having passed his powers to Adam, Zack has appeared as a Black Ranger in several seasons where fights have been given along with the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, as was the famous legendary battle, or the battle in which Jason summons his team to defeat Golder Maximus. Before we talk about their last appearance, we must first talk a little more about their journey as Omega Ranger. In the TV show we could see the transfer of power, and we all already know the excuse we were given for these actors not to appear anymore. In real life, it has already been known that it was all because of contract problems with the franchise owners, as the actors were paid too little and they wanted the money they actually deserved. This opened a window to create a story about these 3 Rangers who had to transfer their power, and as a curious fact, the actors were not actually in that episode. The producers used old scenes and other voices to portray these Rangers. In the comics they used this opportunity to create a new story with these Rangers, and it has been something that has worked excellently. The Omega Rangers have been so famous that Hasbro has had to sell action figures of these Rangers, and the fans love this team. In the beginning of the story, Jason was the one chosen by the Blue Emissary, but Zack and Trini found out about this and also decided to join the team. After a while, the Blue Ranger joined, and during all this time the team members have changed little by little. This Omega Rangers team had existed for many years before, but the Morphin Masters had to hide this power. This is why Zack is considered to be very special, as he could be chosen to have this mysterious power that carries with it a great responsibility. The Omega Rangers are in charge of the security of the universe, so the enemies they face are much more powerful and dangerous. In the TV series, the last we got to see of Zack was his appearance in the special episode, and best of all, he was one of the main characters. In this story, Zack was working in politics, but due to Trini's unfortunate passing, he had to take care of the Yellow Ranger's daughter. Zack took it upon himself to train Min, and apparently the training was effective as she became the new Yellow Ranger. In this special we could see that Zack has matured a lot since, although he is still a cheerful person, he is also very responsible, and this he showed by committing himself to the care of Trini's daughter. In this special episode to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the franchise, we could see that Zack still uses his dancing as a fighting style and gave us a demonstration that despite the age he is, he can still move very well. At the end of this episode, we could see that Zack made the final shot to destroy Rita using his power axe, and with this we could confirm that this is one of the most powerful weapons that exists. I think Zack is a very special ranger, as since 1993 he was able to establish one of the best personalities in the entire history of the franchise by combining humor, commitment, and responsibility. This is a flexible character that can adapt to any situation, and he has proven that in the TV series, but also in the comics. There is a version of Zack in Lord Draken's dimension, and there too we can see Zack can adapt to any situation. William Billy Cranston, or better known as the Blue Ranger in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, is one of the most beloved characters in the entire saga and the entire franchise. This character clearly represents all those people who are intelligent and studious, but a bit withdrawn and unsociable. The evolution of this character was one of the greatest in the entire saga, and the change he gave when he transformed with Morphosis was greater than that of any ranger, since when he was not transformed, he was not very good at fighting, besides wanting to resolve conflicts in a more intelligent way without having to reach violence. Even though more than 30 years have passed since his first appearances, fans still remember him in a very special way. Since every event that this character has appeared, fans get excited. Billy is so smart that he helped Alpha repair many things in the command center, a more advanced technology, and yet Billy could still work with it. In addition, he also created the communicators for all the Power Rangers of his season and helped create technologies that they would later use. When Zordon chose him to be the Blue Ranger, he gave him the Triceratop coin, which controlled Triceratop Dino Zord. The helmet of his suit has been one of the most emblematic of the series, in addition to his weapon, which is a power spear that can be used together as a single spear or split into two parts. This spear has at the end of each side 3 points like a small trident, and when attached to the power blaster also launches energy beams. At first Billy was very shy and avoided trouble, so he was bullied a lot, and Trini the Yellow Ranger defended him all the time. Then Jason taught him to fight and defend himself, and little by little he became a stronger and less shy character. Even so, since he was a child, he had a phobia of fish, and Rita took advantage of this and created a monster in the shape of a fish. That monster had injured all the Rangers, except Billy, and in addition to his phobia of fish, Rita had put a spell on him to exaggerate his fear even more. So that day Billy had to overcome Rita's spell and also overcome his fear of fish to defeat the monster and save the other Rangers. Each Ranger had his special ability, and Billy's was to invent things. One of his most important inventions was the Rad Bug, which was a car that could go from 0 to 3,000 miles per hour in just 3 seconds. This car allowed the Rangers to transport themselves to the command center when the communicators were damaged. After many battles with Rita and Lord Zed, Billy and the other Rangers go in search of Ninja for a new power. Ninja turned them into the Ninja Rangers, and Billy received the Ninja Zord Wolf. This Zord has been one of the most iconic of the whole franchise. After a while and many battles, Lord Zed, Rita and Golder managed to steal the ninja coins and destroyed them. With the coins destroyed, Billy decided to retire as a ranger and dedicate himself to only serve as an advisor. In the time of the Zeo Rangers, Billy helped them on several occasions with different technologies, and although it was thought that he was the Golden Ranger, he confessed that it was not really him. Despite this, the other Rangers wanted him to be the replacement for Trey, the original Golden Ranger, but Billy had to give up that role to Jason since due to the explosion of the command center, he had negative proton energy, and this prevented him from using the transformation. After this, Billy went to Aquitar to stop his aging and fell in love with a woman from that planet. Billy has also been seen in other episodes that have featured the entire Mighty Morphin team, such as the legendary battle and when Jason gathered his team to defeat Golder Maximus. In the last years of Power Rangers, Billy has been a very important character as he was one of the main characters in the special episode celebrating the 30th anniversary of the franchise, and he was also an essential part of the Cosmic Fury team. Let's start by talking about his participation in the special episode, as these events happened before the events of Cosmic Fury, and this participation in the special episode was important for the character, but also for the actor who plays this Blue Ranger. For a long time, the actor who plays this character had been looking for a way to create a special episode to bring the Mighty Morphin team back to life, so this idea of a special episode started thanks to him. Although it is said that the producers did not use the actor's ideas to create the special 30th anniversary episode, all of us fans know that this episode was created thanks to the actor's efforts to bring the team back to life. Even since they didn't use the stories the actor had for the episode, he has shared an alternate story on his social networks and everyone can read it. Speaking of the character, the special episode started with the battle Billy had with Rita after she took over Alpha's body, and this happened because the Blue Ranger was still looking for a way to bring Zordon back. I won't go into all the details of the story of the special episode, but we could tell that Billy knew that Zordon was still alive somewhere, or that his energy was somewhere. In addition to this, we could also see that Billy built a new command center and a new Alpha. With this episode we could notice that Billy was always a very important ranger in the team, and even though the experiment to bring Zordon back went wrong, the Mighty Morphin team supported him. Let's talk now about his participation in Cosmic Fury, which worked to be able to see Billy in a different way, since here he was also a mentor. This part is very important since the Mighty Morphin team started a long time ago and all of them already have a lot of experience. Because of this we got to see an older ranger giving all that experience to younger rangers. This was quite personal, as many of us fans who started out watching Mighty Morphin are now adults with children who are also Power Rangers fans, and we could see ourselves reflected in Billy as we are now mentoring our children. Billy's involvement in Cosmic Fury was so important that it was thanks to him that the Rangers were able to reconnect to the grid after he created the new morphers for them. In addition to this, he also helped them fight Lord Zed, since we all know that Billy had fought him before and knows him very well. We could also notice the immense respect the young Rangers have for Billy and consider him a legend. We could see this when Ollie saw Billy in the big battle and got excited as if he had seen a very famous artist. Another important act Billy did in that season is that at the end of the battle he gathered many Rangers with several Megazords in order to save the team from Cosmic Fury. This Ranger is going to remain a legend, and we can probably consider him as the best Blue Ranger that has ever existed in history. After the Mighty Morphin power transfer happened and 3 Rangers had to hand over their power to other people, several important things happened. Jason had to hand over his power to Rocky, and from that moment on many fans began to despise this new Ranger because he could not fill the void left by Jason, and no matter how good Rocky has been for many years, some fans have continued to despise him just because he replaced Jason. However, with Zach and Adam this did not happen, quite the opposite. Many of us fans loved Zach, and I think everyone knows by now that he is my favorite Ranger, but when Adam started being the new Black Ranger many fans loved him just as much. Then, several years went by, and Adam participated in several seasons and fans started to love him more and more every day, and now he is one of the most loved Rangers in the whole franchise. Despite this, Some new fans don't know his whole story, and with his participation in the 30th anniversary special we should dig a little deeper into his life as a ranger. We must begin by talking about his personality, since he is a very emotional and sentimental man, with a good heart who is not afraid to express what he feels. We could see this in the 1995 movie when the animal he got from the new powers was the toad. This made him very sad, and he was able to accept how he felt at that moment. The reason why many love Zack is because he makes others laugh, especially the fans who watched the series, and I think this is the main reason why the fans accepted Adam, as he also has this quality of making everyone laugh. One important thing about Adam is that despite not having been a Red Ranger or a team leader, he still has the skills to be a great leader, and he proved this in the 15th anniversary episode of the franchise where he was the team leader of the old Ranger team that came to help. Although Adam is well known for being the second Black Ranger of Mighty Morphin, he also had participation in other teams. Even some people know him from that time when he was in those other teams. Adam participated in Power Rangers Zeo as the Green Ranger, and this was one of his best participations in the franchise. He then went on to be part of the Power Rangers Turbo team and stayed with the green color. In this third team he had the opportunity to participate in the Turbo movie, and he had also already participated in the 1995 movie, which was where many began to know him. At the time the 1995 movie was released, many still did not know the supposed new Rangers, which were Adam, Aisha, and Rocky. I say supposed because in reality they started in Power Rangers since 1994. What happened was that in those years we didn't have the internet as we do now, and we had to wait for some TV network to present the episodes, and many of us were not updated on everything that was happening in the series. Then came the movie that became very famous, and many of us were surprised to find out that there were 3 new Rangers. At that time many thought that it was simply for production or budget reasons, and that the supposed real Rangers had not accepted to be in the movie and these other actors arrived, but the reality was different. The new Rangers started to be Rangers since the transfer of power, and those episodes were released in November 1994, but the movie was released in June 1995. These supposed new Rangers had already been Rangers for 25 episodes, although they participated in 6 episodes before being Rangers. Basically, they had already participated in 31 episodes of the series before appearing in the movie. If this had happened nowadays, then their appearance in the movie would not have taken us by surprise, since with the internet we can all watch all the episodes of the series without having to wait for some TV network to release them. Be at home at the right time and pray that no one interrupts you at that moment. In the story of the series, Adam starts as a Ranger in the 2nd season with the same power that Zack had, but then went on to have the ninjetti power in the 3rd season of the series, and with these powers Adam was able to fight against Rita and Lord Zed. Then, he became part of the Power Rangers Zeo. There he changed color and began being the Green Ranger, fighting against the Machine Empire. Then in Season 5 he started fighting one of the worst villains of the beginning of Power Rangers, called Divatox. At that time, the Rangers changed to be the Turbo Rangers, and Adam continued to be the Green Ranger of that team, but this time he was the 2nd leader of the team. After 19 episodes of that season, he had to pass his powers to someone else, and Adam chose Carlos, who would now be the Green Turbo Ranger, but then in the In Space season he would be the Black Ranger. This would not be the last time Adam would see Carlos in an episode of In Space, as he had to return to help him. In that episode Adam saved Carlos from a monster, and even though his morpher was broken and it was a big risk to use it, Adam still transformed to be the Black Ranger again and save Carlos. After almost 9 years, Adam returned to action in Operation Overdrive in celebration of the 15th anniversary of the franchise. In this episode, the Rangers of this season lose their connection with the Morphin grid, and because of this, the Sentinel Knight restores Adam's powers and brings him along with other Rangers to help stop the son of Rita and Lord Zed. There is a curiosity in this episode about Adam, and it is that when the Rangers appeared and they did their Morphin, each one had the music of their season, but Adam being the only Ranger of the Saban era, Disney did not have the rights to the main music of Mighty Morphin, and that is why you hear another song. In addition to this, they also created a different transformation sequence to the one that the Mighty Morphin have always had, and this caused many to think that in the special 30th anniversary episode of the franchise, the Rangers might have a different sequence. Since in special episodes such as the legendary battle, the Black Ranger comes out transformed only, and we do not know if it is Adam or Zack, we can say that we do not see Adam since that 15th anniversary episode. After 15 years without appearing, we could see him again in the special episode of the 30th anniversary, and although we had many expectations, his participation was very short. We were all hoping to see him fight again, and maybe we could see that new transformation sequence he was given in the 15th anniversary, but his participation was very different. Adam is now part of SPA, which stands for Space Patrol Alpha, and is an interplanetary group dedicated to protecting the universe. This group has been dedicated to fighting Trubian Empire, the same villains we saw in the SPD saga, and this war is happening in the Sirius system. Even though Alpha had called all the Rangers, Adam couldn't make it to Earth in time because the trip took about 6 hours, and when he arrived the Rangers had already finished off Rita. After this, Adam helped take the affected Rangers to his ship to the medical area, then took them to Aquitar in the hope that the inhabitants of this planet could help the Rangers return to their normal state. Some have asked if SPA has any relation to SPD, and the producer of the special episode said that SPA is a clear reference to SPD. Basically, the SPA group is the beginning or the prelude to what SPD would be in the future, as you must remember that season is set in 2025. Rocky DeSantos is possibly the most underrated Ranger in the entire franchise, and this is due to his start as a Power Ranger, but when you listen to his story you will understand that he is a legendary Ranger. Rocky has appeared in 126 episodes, 2 anniversary episodes, 2 movies, and more than 5 video games. In addition to this, he has also appeared in many comic books, but we'll talk about that part later. Rocky comes from a city called Stone Canyon, which is next to Angel Grove, and both cities always compete in sporting events. It was in this same way that Rocky met the Rangers, since he was participating in a martial arts competition, and Lord Zed noticed him because of his great talent in defeating the other competitors. Then Rocky was kidnapped and taken to the Dimension of Despair, but this was the reason he was able to learn the identities of the Rangers. Tommy and Kimberly had to remove Billy's helmet, and this is how Rocky discovered the Rangers' identities. Because Tommy and Kimberly saw that Rocky posed no threat, they also took off their helmets, and after this they had to take Rocky to the command center so that he would swear Zordon to secrecy. This all happened with Adam and Aisha as well, since the 3 of them were together in these situations, and then they all moved to Angel Grove permanently. Because Jason, Trini, and Zack were selected to attend a peace conference in Switzerland, Rocky was chosen to replace Jason and get the power of the Tyrannosaurus. In real life we know that this event was due to contract problems with the actors, as they wanted better pay, and the producers looked for 3 new actors to replace them. Although Rocky received the Tyrannosaurus power coin, the reality is that he never used that Zord, as Lord Zed had destroyed it and Zordon transformed it into the Red Dragon Thunderzord. Rocky appeared in about 30 episodes of the 2nd season battling with the team in order to defeat Lord Zed and Rita, and although the internet data says that he was the 2nd in command of the team, this was never noticed. In that 2nd season there was an episode with Rocky's name, episode number 32. In this episode there is a new arcade game at the Angel Grove Youth Center and Rocky becomes passionate about this game. Lord Zed casts a spell on Rocky so that Rocky only thinks about the game and his fun lasts forever. This spell causes Rocky to become obsessed with the game and begin to ignore his friends. Later, the putties attack the Rangers and Zordon starts calling Rocky to help them, but Rocky doesn't want to go because it's no fun. Lord Zed takes advantage of the situation and creates a monster using the new arcade machine. All the Rangers start fighting against the monster, but Rocky doesn't help them much. The monster transforms the Rangers into pieces that are part of the game, but Tommy manages to save himself from that situation and takes the Rangers to the command center so that Alpha can transform them back into humans. When Alpha manages to transform Rocky, Lord Zed's spell is broken in the process and now Rocky blames himself for this situation. Because of this, he teleports to fight the monster, which is now giant, and uses the Red Dragon Thunderzord in warrior mode. Rocky manages to stop the monster long enough for Alpha to transform the other Rangers back into humans and then all together they form the Thunder Megazord to destroy the monster. Later, Rocky apologizes to his friends and now understands that there is time to work and time to play. After this episode many more episodes passed and then we reached the third season. In this season Rocky becomes a Ninja Ranger, but we also saw this in the 1995 movie. Although Rocky had already appeared in more than 30 episodes of the series before the release of the movie, the reality is that many fans did not know him because at that time it was not as easy to see all the episodes of a series as it is nowadays. However, the movies were easier to watch since you could go to the movies and they received more publicity. It is for this reason that perhaps many thought that Rocky was replacing Jason for the first time in the movie, but actually this process had already happened a long time ago. Although Rocky had an excellent participation in this movie, the reality is that he was one of the Rangers with less special moments. In this story, which is very different from the story that occurs in the series since this movie is not part of the canon, Rocky receives the ninjetti power in a different way. Dulcia, a very powerful warrior who protects the new power found on another planet, decides to give the Rangers the ninjetti power so they can find the new power to save Zordon. The ninjetti power comes from the spirit of the animals and Rocky receives the power from the ape. In the TV series, the Rangers received the ninjetti power thanks to Ninja and Rocky received the same animal. After this third season, the Rangers managed to get the power of the Zeo Crystal and this was the beginning of a new series, but it was also the beginning for a new color for Rocky. In this new series, Rocky began to use the color blue and now the Rangers must face new enemies. In this season, the Machine Empire are the new enemies of the Rangers and now with the Triangle Crystal, Rocky must face them. When Jason arrived back to the team using the Gold Ranger powers, Rocky began to feel left out as he thought Jason was coming to replace him, but later realized this was not true. In the Turbo movie, which was the start of a new series, Rocky was injured and was never able to become a Turbo Ranger. This was Rocky's farewell, although it was not the last time we would see him fight as a Ranger again. After a long time, Rocky appeared in the legendary battle, although here we only saw him transformed. Later, in the Power Rangers Super Ninja Steel series, the franchise celebrated the 25th anniversary with a special episode in which we got to see Rocky again. In this episode, Rocky once again obtained the power of the Tyrannosaurus in an unknown way as his power coin was broken. 5 years later, we see Rocky again in the special episode celebrating 30 years of the franchise and this time he must replace Jason as Rita had turned him into an action figure. In this episode we could see that Rocky had become a firefighter and Alpha and 9 teleported him to the command center as an emergency backup. On this occasion, Rocky used a substitute power coin that Alpha 9 had and became for the third time the Red Ranger again. We must say that Rocky had an excellent participation in this special episode and was given many special moments. This was the last time we saw Rocky on TV, but in the comics he also had a lot of participation. Since Jason left for the supposed peace conference, which is a different story in the comics, Rocky started to substitute for Jason, but in these stories everything took a different turn. In the comics we got to know more about Rocky's personal life, and he also had many interesting moments as a Red Ranger. One of my favorite moments is when Rocky had to use the Green Ranger powers, and just like Jason, he also got the shield and the dagger. Rocky was unable to attend the special episode of Forever Red, and although no explanation was ever given for the absence of this character, in real life the actor was unable to attend the filming because he was moving house. The writer of that episode said that if Rocky had appeared he was going to be Tommy's butler and was not going to participate in the battle as a Red Ranger, unless Jason had not appeared. Only 6 Rangers have appeared in over 100 episodes and Rocky is one of them. If you are a Rocky fan, like this video and subscribe for more Power Rangers origin stories.